It has been a very, very hectic day. If you are a South Carolina fan, if you know what I'm talking about, then you obviously know the stress that you have felt right now for the last day or two. You can put that to rest for now, because now you are just fine. Because literally 2 hours ago, Noah Clark officially announcing that he will be a South Carolina Gamecock. Absolutely massive get. The South Carolina Gamecocks and this defensive lineman for the 26th class. We're going to break that down. We're going to talk some more about some more position previews, give our thoughts about what we are going to expect. EA Sports College Football 26, many more here. This is the 4th edition of South Carolina Live. Welcome on in. I am your host, as always, Lucas Hill. Thank you guys for tuning in, for just supporting the channel as a whole. We have grown so much since we first kicked off South Carolina Live. I can't believe we're already on our 4th live show. And we've done, I think, 7 or 8 total with recruiting updates and more. You guys have been killing it over the last several weeks. But remember, do us a favor, hit the like and share down below. Make sure you subscribe, turn on the bell notification so that you are notified every time we go live here on South Carolina Live here at the Worcester College Football. I mean, we couldn't ask for anyone any better fans than what you guys have been offering us. Make sure you follow us on all the socials, X, Instagram, Facebook. If you're listening to us via podcast, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcasting platform is, thank you for making South Carolina Live one of your first listens of the day. Make sure you follow us on the socials at Lucas_Hill23, and also follow us at THEVOCFB. Let's talk about what should be a pretty interesting next couple of days for South Carolina football. And let me explain to you what we talked about on Monday if you missed the live. First of all, you guys killed it. We had almost 10,000 total viewers for the live commitment show for PJD. I mean, it was an absolutely massive day that you guys just killed it with viewing our stuff, continuing to support us. But I think one of the more important things that we took away from Monday is that relationships are always going to matter at the end of the day. Unfortunately for South Carolina, it didn't turn out that way, especially with the JD situation. Did it hurt losing a guy like that? Yes. I think you could have added him as a very valuable asset to your defensive line group, one that you really have put an emphasis on, not just last year, but also this year as well. And I think you're going to put an emphasis on that during 27 as well. But again, let's take a look at this recruiting class right now for the 2026 class. So far, you've moved up from 58 to 51 in your overall rankings according to 247 Sports. One that I thought was really good for you, one that I thought you really needed at the end of the day. You're keeping guys that are from the Carolinas home. That's the ultimate thing that you have put an emphasis on, is keeping dudes in your home state. At the end of the day, you talk about guys like the Harris twins, Aiden and Andrew Harris, Xavier Currents, who you got, who's been a long time commit, closing in on a year already having been committed to South Carolina. You talk about the recent ones, Noah Clark, who committed today, C.Kel Patterson, who committed over the weekend at OT7s. I mean, just a plethora of guys that you were able to get at the end of the day to stay in the Carolinas, even if they're not from near the Columbia area. Guys, getting guys from the South and North Carolina areas is tremendous for you. You talk about the array of talent that has been around the Carolinas over the last couple of years. And guys, I'll give South Carolina credit. They've done really well with going after guys. We talked about this the other day. You're coming off of a season where you made a great run. You have a young roster. Lenore Sellers is going into his second full year as a starter. It will likely be his last, depending on what happens this season. I think also with what you've seen that, and you say to yourself, okay, we can go get these other guys, these 4 or 5 stars. You've hit and missed on a couple of them, but that's okay, because there is nothing that you need to do to panic, because you should be happy that you got a guy like Noah Clark. You've got a couple of more upcoming commits that are scheduled to commit next week and the week after. Plus, you got a lot of 27 guys that are going to commit at the end of the day. Guys, this is a very, very good class that you have right now. I think there's a lot of depth. I think there's a lot of pressure from that fan base, because you're talking about a team that just came off of a season where you beat your in-state rivals for the second straight year at Clemson. You're talking about a roster that is very young, is going into 25 with, in my opinion, more questions than answers. And you need to fill in those gaps. We looked at last year and we said, holy cow, what a turnaround. You're talking about a team that was expected to maybe win 5 or 6 games and have Shane Beamer still barely hanging on to his job. And then you were able to turn that around in 1 year and win 9 games and go to a January bowl game. This is a team that is still showing signs of progress, but it still has a lot to do to get up to the very top of college football at the end of the day. It's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of patience. But you're going to get there at some point. You are bound to get there at some point. It's going to happen. Make no mistake about that. It is going to happen at the end of the day. Guys, I'd have a very, very high ceiling for what South Carolina is going to provide when it comes to this recruiting class, for what you've been able to do last year, putting together a top 25 class. And now you see with what they're doing on the recruiting trail. Again, we talked about some of the big... My bad, guys. I'm outside of a CC's in Denham Springs, Louisiana. So, no, I'm not from South Carolina. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. What the hell am I doing talking about South Carolina? Why not? I love South Carolina. Regardless of that, guys, you're talking about a program that is on the rise, in my opinion. One that I think should be getting more credit than they are right now, because of the amount of talent that you've seen on full display there for South Carolina. So I think overall, you're talking about a team that is going to continue to develop guys to get to their star potential. You're going to continue to see more guys taking visits. Guys, it's a very important class, in my opinion, especially on the defensive line. This is a very deep defensive line class in the class of 26. No question in my mind why the class of 26 should be very important is because of your D-line group, and there's a reason why you've been hitting on that. But I also want you to go out and go develop more elsewhere. One of your biggest struggles, if you're South Carolina, is being able to recruit it back at running back. I don't think you've been able to really hit on a back since Marcus Lattimore left Columbia, South Carolina. Now, I could be wrong. There could be other guys that we saw in years prior. But from what I have seen overall, I don't know with what to expect from South Carolina at the running back position in their near future, especially when it comes to recruiting that area. You've let a lot of guys go. You have been focused on the defensive side of the ball. I know it's a big deal that you want to focus on that, and it's a hotbed of top talent that we haven't seen in a while. Last year was all about the skill positions. This year it's all about the big ones. It's all about the trench warfare, offensive and defensive line. This 26 class is deep. I mean, deep with defensive and offensive line talent. But I still think you do need to hit the backs. You haven't been able to target them as much. You haven't really had them on your big board, which is shocking to me because I thought you were going to emphasize that going into this offseason, especially knowing that this was a running back room that was still going to be young, despite getting Rasul Faison, who's still not gotten that waiver yet. So what are you going to do in that area? I think it's something that you have to hit, whether it be in through the portal this next upcoming off season, or whether it be through high school recruiting. There's a blue chip out there that's bound to end up in your hands. It's bound to happen. Bound to happen. I promise you. You're going to find a guy at the end of the day. But you have to start going after those running backs at the end of the day. And you haven't hit that yet, which is surprising to me. That I thought that would be a point of emphasis during this offseason, but it really hasn't. You don't have a guy in 26 as your back. I don't know if you even have one in 25. But we'll just have to see what happens. Maybe not this offseason, or if there's a late offer given to a top back in the state of South Carolina. Because I think the number one running back has an Appalachian State, a coastal offer. South Carolina hasn't gone after him. I think the number 11 or 12 back in the nation. Good kid, strong legs, great breakaway speed, but you just haven't been able to target that recently because you want to develop on the defensive side of the ball. So, do I have a problem with it? Somewhat. I would like for you to hit that part of the field, but I also want to see you reach out and go to the other side of the field and go get some DBs. Guys, one of the most important things that we've seen from South Carolina in recent years is their ability to recruit at the DB position. We've seen a plethora of guys. Guys, right now you have two in your DB room. We've already talked about Xavier Currens, who's the number one player in the state of South Carolina. Number 8, he's going to play safety, though, in KJ Johnson, who's also a DB, but he as well is going to play safety. He's only a top 60 player. Torian Gray is a great recruiter, no question about it. But my only thing is that how are you going to fully develop those guys going into their freshman year in 26, whether they take a red shirt or not? You just have not been able to develop those relationships. That's what happened with PJ Dean yesterday or 2 days ago. I know a family affair also has to big deal with that, with Jared Wilson being in the picture as Dean's older brother. But you also have to realize, guys, you had a massive opportunity to snag him. Now, I'm not saying that the race is over for him because you still have an opportunity to flip. Because like we've mentioned, we still got 5 months till signing day. We're in the month of July now. So it's getting closer and closer as the more we speak. We're getting closer and closer to signing day and an opportunity for guys to flip. It's going to happen at some point. We've already had, I think, maybe 15 to 20 in the last 5 or 6 months who have been committed to their respective school in the class of 26 respectively from, I want to say, October or November of last year dating to this year, to around this time. So again, the race is not over. You still need to have those dudes on your big board. Duckworth's obviously going to be on your big board. I think you'll have another running back or another tight end on your big board. You know, those are things that you have to hit on a consistent basis if you are South Carolina. So we'll see what happens with South Carolina at the end of the day in recruiting, but do I think they're doing much better than they were before when it comes to this recruiting cycle? Not really. You're still behind the 8 ball. I would like for you to get more involved with NIL and with the funding that is being received. But again, guys, you got to be able to spend the money. You got to get your boosters involved and get them to help you out a good bit. All right. We're going to take a quick break real fast. Want to thank our good friends over at Amazon for helping us support the voice of college football. Make sure you use the Amazon link in the description below. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to buy any product there. Just make sure you hit the link. Get you automatically signed in to your respective account. And if you want to learn more, just listen to Mark.
You can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact. Just like whatever link you use right now, no difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the Voice of College Football.
So I don't know if you guys were tuned in to Alabama Primetime Live last night. By the way, shout out the boys over there, Jackson, Coach Smooth, and Jeffrey, which we're good partners with. Get them over to 3,000 subscribers, by the way. They're about, less than 300 away, which I think is awesome that they've been able to grow just like that. And it's good people, man. We always support our friends here at the Voice of College Football. But regardless of that, they made a great point in talking about the amount of money that is being distributed from NIL. And I love, or with a new agreement that has been made in college football with the House settlement, distributing what? So 15 million or 20.5 million. And this is what is going to mean at the end of the day, because of not just the roster limits, but also with everything in between when it comes to how guys are going to get paid, how they're able to get money from these NIL collectives, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to cut to a clip where Smook was talking about the money that was being introduced. So here we go. I'm about to pull this up real fast for you guys. This is what we're talking about right here. So what you see on your right with all the 15 million, 3 million, and 1.5 million is the different money that is being distributed to different athletic organizations. 15 million is going to go to football, 3.1 is going to go to basketball, and the rest is going to get distributed amongst the other athletic programs that are in college football. So what I like about this is that you are able to basically evenly distribute all of this between the athletes, which means all 105 scholarship players are going to get 150,000. Now, I don't know if this is before taxes or after taxes, but regardless of that, wherever you're at, you're guaranteed just over $125,000 because a 10% tax, 10 to 15% tax would be about 15 to 20 grand. So I think this is massive for the athlete, but I also want to point out that not only are you going to get the 150, you're also going to manage to get the NIL collectives. So your starters or your star players, they're going to get more outside help at the end of the day when it comes to the amount of money. So not only are they going to get the 150, they're also going to be able to get the extra money that is being paid from Powerade, from Adidas. We saw Jeremiah Smith, who just signed a deal with Adidas, which I thought was a pretty massive deal. And I think overall, you're going to see more money that is being shared within these respective organizations. So every scholarship player is guaranteed over $100,000 a year. Add that up. I don't know if it's $100,000 a semester or a full school year. At the end of the day, if it's a full school year, over $400,000 that you're about to make at the end of the day is impressive. One that I think you should definitely take for granted, knowing what you got yourself into with this amount of money. Now, you may be wondering, what's going to happen with basketball? What's going to happen with these other sports that are only going to get $1.5 million and the guys are going to make $4,000 a semester or a year or whatever? Understand, fundraising is real. I have a guy that I know that plays baseball over at LSU. Guys, their fundraising for their program is ridiculous. The donors are incredible. They are investing millions and millions of dollars into the program. So that money is going to eventually get elevated up to more than 1.5 million. The 1.5 million is being used to give to the athlete from the school. That doesn't include boosters, donors, etc. They're going to get more than what they're initially hoping for. So all this stuff about corruption and all this other stuff in the NCAA, you got to understand. That's not necessarily corruption. It's fundraising. It's not illegal to do that. It's not outside the NCAA jurisdiction to get more than the 20.5 that you're required to spend. That doesn't include what the donors and the other outside sources are giving. None of that matters at the end of the day. The 1.5 million is just what you're getting from the NCAA. That's all that matters. So how does this help with South Carolina? Well, let's say that South Carolina has another big year. Let's say women's basketball wins another championship. That's more money that you're going to be able to spend in recruiting, with being able to use those funds for NIL, use it in new facilities and more things that are going to help benefit the school and the athlete as well. It's not just going to benefit women's basketball. A large chunk of that is going to go to basketball, but it's also going to go to other sports that may play a major part as well. That's what I think is so incredible at the end of the day when it comes to the NIL landscape that we are in right now, and the House settlement that just came down earlier. So that's really about what we have right now. Okay, so some more recruiting updates. We talked about Xavier Currents. just now, and this is breaking news that we're just getting this right now. He has shut down his recruitment and is locked in with South Carolina. So Xavier's been basically there since 2024, since I think November of 24. His recruitment has officially shut down. This came earlier this morning. So that's two major victories for South Carolina. Not only do you get one of the top defensive linemen in the nation, you get the number one player in the state of South Carolina to stay in Gamecock Nation, which I think was a massive victory. Two massive victories for South Carolina in the recruiting trail. One that I think was really going to impact them, because there were still talks of, well, maybe Xavier Currents is going to end up flipping or whatnot. There's still a push for him. He says he's shutting it down. Massive, massive thing. It's been a slow build up so far. Sometime this month, Landon Duckworth is supposed to commit at some point in July. This is going to be a great July for South Carolina and company. And like we mentioned, Monday hurt, but there is still a lot of hope for South Carolina at the end of the day. One that I think is going to help you with your class in 26. Look, we told you. Guys, this is going to be a very, very big year for South Carolina along the recruiting trail. If you are able to keep your in-state commits staying locked in with South Carolina, you got one down. You basically got two down with Noah Clark and with Xavier Currents. C.Kel Patterson is your recruiter for this year. He reclassified from 27 to 26. He was the number 9 player in the class of 27. Now he's 187th in the class of 26, I believe. But overall, guys, you should be very, very impressed about what type of athlete that Xavier Currents is. The fact that you're able to lock in these dudes in Columbia, keep them in-house, keep them in this Clayton White defense. You're going to be a stacked and loaded roster, guys that are going to get plenty of reps when it comes to next offseason and next spring season in 26, so that you can be able to lock and load and get ready for what should be a pretty decent 26 recruiting class. I told y'all there was nothing to panic. Y'all were worried because y'all had only 9 commits for this entire 26 class. I told y'all, July is going to be fine for y'all. July is going to be a great month for South Carolina at the end of the day. And what did I tell you? I was right. Told you guys. Told you. Hate to say it. All right. Let's talk about the Athlon All-ACC team. A little preseason ACC or SEC predictions. So South Carolina has 6 players on the preseason All-ACC, All-SEC team. Boom. So let's talk about this one. They have 2 All-American players and 6 All-SEC, something that South Carolina's Twitter actually posted. So I think this is actually very, very intriguing if you are a South Carolina fan. Boom, you have Nick Harbor, DQ Smith on the 4th team. 3rd team, you have Lenore Sellers and Josiah Thompson rounding it out, and then Jalen Kilgore repping the 2nd team All-ACC or SEC, and then Dylan Stewart repping the 1st team All-SEC squad. Overall, why the hell is Lenore Sellers on 3rd team? I mean, you got to consider the fact of how deep this quarterback room is and how deep the talent the quarterback is for 2025 in college football. Guys, you're talking about many, many, many different SEC quarterbacks that are going to be really good. They're going to hype up Garrett Nussmeier. They're going to hype up DJ Lagway. They're going to hype up Diego Pavia, Arch Manning, which I think are the 4 quarterbacks they have ahead of them. I think third team they would have Nuss as first team. They'd have DJ as your second teamer, and then Lenoris as your third teamer, which honestly, I thought DJ is a special player. Make no mistake about that. I have no ill will towards DJ Lagway. Guys, he doesn't have what Lenoris Sellers have. And we can see these preseason predictions and say, well, if you're South Carolina, this is going to be big for them. You also have to realize that this is still a young roster. Very, very young roster. Defensively, I think you will be just fine. Everybody's been panicking because you've had to replace a lot on the defensive line. You had to replace the Nagurski Award winner last year. You have to replace your 2 interior guys in Tonka Hemingway and TJ Sanders. You have to replace the leader, the glue of the South Carolina defense in Demetrius Knight. Which, by the way, guys, I'm glad we're on this topic because I think it's time for another position preview. And let's talk about none other than the DBs. Guys, this defensive back room is really, really good. I think there were, top 10? Or actually, I think there were a top 30 defensive back room in college football, according to Phil Steele, I believe. It's been an interesting one for South Carolina in this offseason. But I think overall, with your portal class this past year, I think you'd be very happy with what you got. You got more depth. You were able to do really well loading guys up. We've said this before, and we've said it many times here on this show. It's not sexy, but it's guys that you can plug and play just like that. I'm telling you guys, there's no real issue for you when it comes to this recruiting class. It is going to be fine. It is going to be just fine. Everybody is going to panic because of the names and the stars. Guys, I've said this before. Stars get you beat. Can you find that diamond in the rough? And I think you have with this DB room. I'm telling you, South Carolina, when it comes to the portal class that you got, you have a lot of diamonds that you can develop into really solid fixtures in the secondary. Ones that I'm very, very impressed with. Ones that I think can make immediate impacts in the secondary. Everybody knows about Jalen Kilgore. I think he'll be a top 30 guy at the end of the day. I think he's a draft pick this year. I think he'd be a draft pick easily next year. He would probably be late first round, early second rounder. I think with DQ Smith and what you brought with him, DQ Smith will fill that role that Nick Emanwari had. I know it's hard to replace a guy like him, but I do like what DQ Smith's overall presence brings. The guy has been there ever since his freshman year. He'll be a 4-year starter. He's going to bring you that depth that you need. Remember, third-team All-American during his freshman year. And guys, this is probably the most experienced group that you have returning in 2025. One that I think you're very impressed with. You brought in Brandon Cisse from NC State, who played a little bit, a couple times, will play more of a dime package a good bit. You brought in Miles Norwood from Ball State, who had a great season last year. He was big. He initially coming from Ball State. I think he was at Iowa State as well. But this is a roster that has a lot of expertise, that has a lot of experience, that you should be happy that you were able to get the amount of depth that you do at the DB position. But again, guys, it starts with your leader, and that's going to be Jalen Kilgore. Jalen Kilgore is going to be the reason why you are successful in the backfield this year. I think you may have one of the best DB backfields in all the SEC. If not, they're probably a top 5. Overall, guys, you should be extremely impressed with what you see on the field with South Carolina's defensive back room. I think that's where you're going to find the most success. I think it's where you're going to be able to develop fully as a team. It's going to win you a lot of games, and that's where you're going to see a lot of your stars. I think Miles Cisse or Brandon Cisse, and I think Norwood's going to be more of a dime guy. I think he's not really going to play a lot, but I do see him in more of that reserve role to go along with Jalen Kilgore as well. Kilgore's an island. It's hard to throw against him. But we're going to see in that first game against Virginia Tech what this team is really all about in the defensive backfield. I have high expectations for the DB room. I think they're going to have quite a bit of success this year. I think no question in my mind they should not be a bad program. I thought they were excellent in the second half of last year. I thought you were able to get a lot of production from that room. I think you have a lot coming back. Guys, this is a defensive backfield that you can rely on in crunch time. They're not going to give up a lot of deep plays. They're not going to be able to give up a lot at the end of the day. Guys, you should be very intrigued to see what South Carolina is going to bring at the end of the day. Very big from what your defensive backfield is going to look like. No question in my mind with what you have at the end of the day. And I'm glad we mentioned the DBs as well, because little side note on our position preview, Kosi Barnes, a.k.a. Bo Barnes, is down to his final couple of years with South Carolina, Kentucky, Miami, Rutgers, North Carolina, and Mississippi State. He will be committing at the end of this month, July 26th. Gifted athlete, 6'3", 190 pounds. Guy's a really, really good athlete. I think that he can be a consistent piece. He's the number 61 cornerback in the nation, the number 29 player in the state of North Carolina. This is where you like to see South Carolina go after these little 3-4 star guys, ones that aren't going to get a whole lot of looks at the end of the day. It's ones that you can really rely on at the end of the day, and ones that you'll see that are more of your diamonds in the rough. That's what we've talked about all of this year. So we'll see. But regardless of that, guys, bottom line is this. Your DB room is going to be one of the best in college football. Your DB room is going to be really, really good. If they're not a top 5 overall room in the SEC, it's a crime. Because South Carolina has, in my opinion, one of the deepest and most consistent DB rooms in the SEC. I didn't say the most, but they're one of the most. We're which I'm glad we're going on the SEC. Let's go around the SEC for a little bit to end off the show, like we always do. There's nothing better than when we go around the SEC and we talk a lot. Let's get after it. Around the SEC. All right. I'm going to talk for the next 9 weeks up until college football season, because we're 9 weeks away from the start of college football. I'm going to be giving my ceiling, my floor, and my realistic record for every single SEC team. And we're going to start off with the 2 worst from last year, and we're going to move up. All right? So I'm really excited for this one. It is one that I have been very intrigued to get after. We're in the month of July, guys. Remember, we have 1 more month without football, and then without college football, because pro football, I think, starts at the end of this month in July, which I think that's really intriguing, I guess. But, yeah, let's start off with the worst team in the SEC last year, Mississippi State. Going into year 2 of the Jeff Levy era, I thought you were going to fire Coleman Hutzler. I didn't think Coleman Hutzler was the guy at the end of the day. I didn't like Coleman Hutzler as your defensive coordinator. He's been a long-time special teams coach. Didn't do great as DC with Texas. There's a reason why he ended up leaving to go to Ole Miss. I didn't think he was a great fit there. You didn't see a lot of success whatsoever. Matt Barnes came in to try and help, and it was just a mess. I mean, a mess all along. So realistically, when we look at Mississippi State's record, and this is one where there's not a lot that you can confidently say, okay, Mississippi State will win this one. You start off at Southern Miss, Arizona State, Alcorn State, Northern Illinois, Tennessee, so you have 4 straight home games, at Texas A&M, at Florida, Texas, at Arkansas, at Georgia, at Missouri, and Ole Miss. Guys, this is the 2nd hardest schedule in college football. By the way, South Carolina is the 4th hardest schedule. When I look at this schedule, you have to play 4 total SEC teams in 4 total college football playoff programs in 2025. 24 from last year. That is incredible. So, overall, when I look at this record, it's the only way that I can see a team like Mississippi State get to a bowl game is if you are able to get 2 or 3 SEC wins. And even those are not guaranteed. Knowing from what we saw last year with Mississippi State. Guys, this is difficult. I'll be honest with you. But I think the number one thing for Mississippi State is winning more games than you did last year. Realistically. I mean, that should be every Mississippi State fan's expectation, is winning more than you did in 2025. So overall, my ceiling for Mississippi State, I have them at 5-7. I think that's fine. I think that's an honest, real. I think that's a really, really real expectation for Mississippi State. Your floor, 2-10. I think you lose to Southern Miss. Your only 2 who wins are the Alcorn and Northern Illinois, 2 games that I can for sure say you'll win. Ceiling, I say 5-7 because you could win, beat Southern Miss, beat Alcorn, beat Northern Illinois, potentially get a win against Arkansas on the road, beat Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl, but realistically, I have them at 3-9. So there you go. There's mine. 5-7, 2-10, 3-9. It's going to be another rough year for this team. It's one that it's discouraging if you're Mississippi State and Jeff Levy. You like what you got in the portal, but I think when you see the type of program that they're building, it's hard not to get on board with what Jeff Levy has done with this offense. Do I like him? Yes, I think he's a great offensive mind. I think he's one that you could definitely consider as one of the best in the SEC. Well, I would say one of the best signal callers. But I think overall, I don't see Mississippi State being any better than 3-9. But it's more than what you had last year. Remember, 2 games that you won last year, and it didn't turn out the way you did. But you should be impressed. You should be fine. Guys, if you are a Mississippi State fan, don't panic. It's fine. It will be okay. Look, things will get better. All right, let's talk about Kentucky. Kentucky, in my opinion, it's been tough for Mark Stoops and company. It's been a rough couple of years for them. Last year, obviously, you go 4-8. You're one of the worst programs. You had one of the worst offenses in college football. And I think that was a year where it was a wake-up call for you. I didn't think Bush Hampton was a great hire at the end of the day. People raved about him. Guys, I didn't like Bush Hampton. I also didn't like Brock Vandagriff. You can call me a hater or whatnot, but Brock Vandagriff was not a good quarterback. And I think majority of people can be realistic and look at this. But when I look at Kentucky's schedule, defensively, you lost a lot. Offensively, you're taking another step back. You did get guys through the portal. You got Kendrick Law. You got a young guy in Zach Calzada who's been in the SEC before, coming from UIW. But I don't see another resurgence for Kentucky. But I will say, a bowl game is possible. I have their ceiling at 6-6, and let me tell you where I have them. Let me scroll up a little bit so that you guys can see the whole schedule. So I think you'll beat Toledo. You'll beat Eastern Michigan, Tennessee Tech for sure. That's your guaranteed wins. Here's where your ceiling comes in. Pull off an upset against Vandy. Pull off an upset against Louisville, depending on what Miller Moss does. Pull off an upset against Auburn. And we'll see what that Tennessee and Florida game looks like. I think those are toss-ups. We'll see what Ole Miss looks like, too, because they did beat them last year. I'm not saying they'll do it again this year, but, again, anything is possible. Realistically, it's a 4-8 season. I think the one win that you'll get this year is going to be at Auburn in the SEC. I don't think Auburn's good. They could sling the football down the field against them, but I don't think Auburn is very good. They're not a good program. They won't be a good program this year. You can realistically say that. Guys, it's no question in my mind about how bad Auburn is going to be this year, how overrated they are. Well, Kentucky is too. But realistically, it's a 4-8 season. I think Mark Stoops will be fired after the Tennessee game. He's going through a nasty divorce, from what I have heard. This is alleged, by the way, so don't quote me on this. But it's going to be another tough season for Kentucky at the end of the day. So we'll see what Mark Stoops and company have in store for 2025. But I mean, portal-wise, it's not looking good. I'll just be honest with you. On the field too, it just looks piss poor. So it's a prove me year, and they're getting close to potentially firing Mark Stoops and having another guy come in. So, guys, that is going to wrap it up for us here on South Carolina Live here on the Voice of College Football. Guys, thank you so much for joining us in. I do want really quick, though, before we get off of here, I want to give you guys a couple of channel updates onto what we have throughout this year, what we had all of this year. So I want to talk about what we've done ever since we took over the channel last month. Guys, it was impressive with what we've been able to do, and I am very proud of the work that we have done over the last several days of taking over for South Carolina Live. Guys, we have 13 new subscribers over the last 28 days. One of our best videos that we've ever had got over 10,000 combined views on YouTube and on Twitter. We have 100 of you joining in right now here on South Carolina Live, which I think is awesome, seeing what you guys have been able to do and seeing the support that you guys have given us. The total amount of viewership that we've had over 7,000 views over the last 28 days. So you guys are the reason why we are doing this, the reason why we are building something great here at South Carolina, the Voice of College. Well, I told you this. Now, when we started this whole thing, we're going to be building something amazing here at South Carolina Live, and we're going to continue to do that. Guys, if you want the best in everything around South Carolina football and around the SEC, holler at your boy. Follow me on X at Lucas_Hill23. Follow the Voice of College Football too at THEBOCFB. Guys, thank you all again. Make sure you hit the like and share and subscribe button. Turn on the bell notification so that you are notified every time we go live here on South Carolina Live. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, hit us up on X, hit us up on Instagram, Facebook. Listen to us on your favorite streaming platform, whether it be Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever you want. And again, guys, make sure you have a great day. Have a great rest of the week. We'll be back with more updates throughout the week. And again, guys, stay blessed. Don't stress.